What is Shavuot? You may be seeing posts about cheesecake, all night Torah study, and Jews suddenly becoming very opinionated about blintzes. Yes, it's Shavuot. Let me explain with minimal guilt and maximum dairy. Shavuot is one of the major Jewish holidays, but somehow it gets less attention than Passover and Hanukkah. Passover gets matzah, plagues, family arguments, and 4 cups of wine. Hanukkah gets candles, presents, fried food, and a public relations department that clearly understood America. Shavuot? Shavuot shows up quietly with cheesecake, Torah, flowers, all night learning, and a message so powerful it helped shape Western civilization. Not bad for the underrated album of Jewish holidays. The word Shavuot means weeks in Hebrew. It comes 7 weeks after Passover, after a period called the counting of the Omer. On the Jewish calendar, it begins on the 6th of Sivan, which usually falls in late May or early June. Think of Passover as the escape from slavery, and Shavuot as the moment we learned what freedom is actually for. Because freedom without responsibility is just wandering with snacks. And Jews know a thing or two about wandering with snacks. Thousands of years ago, the Israelites left Egypt, crossed the sea, wandered through the desert, complained about the food, the water, the leadership, and probably the seating arrangements, and eventually arrived at Mount Sinai. And there, according to Jewish tradition, God gave or revealed the Torah to the Jewish people. Not just a book, not just rules, not just please don't murder people, although honestly, humanity still seems to need reminders. The Torah became the foundation of Jewish identity: law, memory, covenant, ethics, nationhood, sacred argument, the operating system of the Jewish people. If Passover is the birth of Jewish freedom, Shavuot is the birth of Jewish purpose. It is the moment we went from "we are no longer slaves" to "now what kind of people are we going to become?" That question still matters. Shavuot is also one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals, along with Passover and Sukkot. In ancient times, Jews would travel to the temple in Jerusalem and bring offerings from the harvest. Shavuot was connected to the wheat harvest and the bringing of the Bikurim, the first fruits. Basically, ancient Jews showed up in Jerusalem with baskets of produce and gratitude. Today, we show up with cheesecake and digestive negotiations. Tradition evolves. Now, let's talk dairy. On Shavuot, many Jews eat dairy foods: cheesecake, blintzes, kugel, borekas, ice cream, whatever your stomach can negotiate with your ancestors. There are several traditional explanations for this custom. One says Torah is compared to milk, nourishing and pure. Another says that after receiving the Torah and its laws of kosher meat preparation, the Israelites were not ready to prepare meat properly yet, so they ate dairy, which is very Jewish. God gives the Torah, and our first response is, wonderful, but what are we doing about lunch? There is also a tradition of staying up all night learning Torah called Tikkun Leil Shavuot. Think of it as a Jewish TED Talk marathon, except with more coffee, fewer PowerPoint slides, and someone inevitably arguing about a comma in a 2,000-year-old text. The idea is that we stay awake to show our eagerness to receive the Torah. Also, because Jews apparently looked at religion and said, you know what this needs? Homework at 2 a.m. Many communities spend the night studying Torah, Jewish law, ethics, mysticism, history, and modern Jewish questions. Some people learn deep texts. Some go from class to class. Some sit with friends and talk about meaning, identity, God, peoplehood, and whether the cheesecake table is being restocked. All are valid spiritual journeys. Another beautiful Shavuot custom is reading the Book of Ruth. Ruth is the story of loyalty, courage, kindness, conversion, and choosing to join the Jewish people. Ruth, a Moabite woman, binds herself to Naomi and to the Jewish people with the famous words, "Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." That line hits differently on Shavuot, because Shavuot is not only about receiving Torah once, it is about choosing it again. Every generation, every Jew, every convert, every person who says, I am part of this story. And that is the deeper meaning. Shavuot is not just an ancient anniversary. It is a reminder that Judaism is not only memory, it is responsibility. The Torah was not given so Jews could become a museum exhibit with better food. It was given so we could build a civilization rooted in justice, holiness, argument, compassion, discipline, and truth. We are still arguing about how to do that, very loudly. usually over food. But we are still here. So if your Jewish coworkers take a day or two off, now you know why. They are not avoiding meetings, well, maybe a little, but mostly they are celebrating one of the most important moments in Jewish history. And if they come back looking tired and slightly pale, do not worry. That is not necessarily illness. That may just be the sacred combination of all night Torah study, too much cheesecake, and lactose based regret. In a world drowning in noise, Shavuot reminds us to climb the mountain again, to learn, to listen, to argue with purpose, to remember that freedom is not the finish line, it is the beginning of responsibility. So, yes, Shavuot is about Torah, it is about Sinai, it is about harvest, dairy, Ruth, learning, covenant, and the Jewish people receiving the moral blueprint that has carried us through exile, persecution, survival, return, and renewal. In plain English, Shavuot is the day we say, thank you for the Torah. Thank you for the responsibility. Thank you for this ridiculous, beautiful, argumentative, cheesecake-filled story. Now pass the blintzes. Shag Shavuot Sameach. If you enjoy my writing, support me by buying my book, Screaming into the Void, available on paperback or Kindle on Amazon.com.